Wine and Crime contains graphic and explicit content which may not be suitable for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
You are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where Sorry. No, it's fine. Keep it in. Where three friends chug wine
and White Claw,
chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
Oh, yeah.
Lucy had a little bit of a struggle just now.
Yeah, right?
I'm fine. I meant to open it earlier, and I have really short fingernails because my gels fell off and my nails are very thin.
Get these.
I can't. I don't know how you wipe your ass.
They're my natural nails.
Yeah.
You just use a flat hand and wad up that toilet paper.
Yeah, that's why I use such big wads of toilet paper, is because I have long nails.
You don't want to
I'm not risking it.
Yeah, you did clog the toilet at my house recently.
Okay, we don't need to tell the world.
Oh, it's only come up like 18 times on this show since that night.
Everyone should have a plunger in every bathroom
I agree.
and a toilet brush in every bathroom for their guests.
I agree.
For their guests.
I'm sorry.
I agree.
All right, I'm Kenyon and I have strong bathroom opinions.
And
Bathroom
huge
hospitality.
shits. I'm Kenyon. I take huge shits.
Huge.
I'm Lucy, and I keep my plunger in the basement.
Ugh, why? That's so
what?
far away.
No, it's covered in
insane.
poop water.
I'm Amanda, and speaking of keeping plungers in the basement and why you shouldn't do that, I was at a breakfast restaurant in New Jersey, and myself, my sister, and her two kids, we needed to take a pee-pee, so we went to the bathroom.
To tinkle?
And there was a tinky to take a tinky. And there was, a bathroom open, but it had some poo in it. But I had to pee pretty bad. So Ashley was like, there's poop in there, but if you just flush it before you pee, it should be fine. So I go in, I flush it. Toilet immediately starts heavily overflowing. Poop water is pouring out all over the floor. Had to shut down the whole bathroom. I'm like running out. Ashley didn't even get the girls onto the toilet before she's picking them up. We're like running and then out of the bathroom. I like ran
How
to
did
the
we not hear
teenage
about
girl
this
manager. I don't know. It was like the day we left. I was busy. There was a falconer there. I got easily distracted. All of this
that was
is
the
real.
falconer Blaze.
Yes.
Lily
So-
the falcon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just have a plunger.
Yeah, have a plunger nearby so you
Right
don't
there.
have to ask your best friend's dad, your surrogate dad, for
Technically,
a
I
plunger
asked
in
him
the garage.
for you.
Yeah.
He was well aware it was
You
for you.
still gave attribution that it was
Yep.
me who
Yep.
did it. So,
It's your dad.
It's all
Who
for you,
cares?
Damien.
all right. Well, whatever. No transition. So, our topic this week is actually a gal's pick. We had an opening that we carved out so we could pick one GD episode ourselves. And we have selected the topic Bad to the Bones.
Bones.
So shit about bones.
Lots of shit about bones.
Yeah.
Bones.
I'm excited.
Oh,
It's gonna be good.
Me too.
All right,
good.
Amanda, what's our wine crime pairing for Bad to the Bones?
Well, what I opened my fridge and had was this beautiful bottle of Chardonnay from Wink, the Porter and Plot,
Oh, I love.
which is sweating balls because it's still humid as all fuck here in Minnesota. But I thought this would be a good fit because I know that the guy in my case portered and platted his murders.
There was
Ooh.
definitely some plotting in mine. Mm-hmm. And
Then
also,
the portering around of bones.
yeah.
that works.
Porting to carry.
So it does. It works. And for those of you who have not found our show until today, welcome, and I'm sorry. And Wink Wine Club is an amazing wine club that delivers wine to your door. And I don't know how long we're going to be running this particular discount, but like, jump on it. Let's do it.
She's a doozy.
Because
it's an amazing discount.
It's such a good deal. So right now, our listeners get 4 bottles for just $29.95 from Wink Wine Club when you go to trywink.com/wine and crime special. Because it's special. It's a wine and crime special. So definitely do
special.
that.
And
You're
so
special.
Are you.
We're special. You're special. It's the deal of the century.
Ray is special.
I also highly recommend becoming a member because there's member pricing on bottles just like this one, which the regular price is $32.99, but Wink members get it for $27.99.
That's like a hefty discount.
Yeah.
And it adds up if you're getting like, even if you're getting just 4 bottles a month,
Yeah.
you know, to get that shipping taken care of, like,
You're saving money.
You're saving
money.
I like to buy wine in bulk because it's always it's the perfect like host gift and whatever.
yeah, it always comes in handy.
It's good to have on hand.
Yeah.
So this is a medium-bodied organic Chardonnay. It's very elegant. It's a little bit fruit-forward, but it has a nice dry finish. It is 14% ABV. It's not a super like woody Chardonnay, so it's not going to give you butter. It's not going to give you old grandma Chardonnay. You're going to get like citrus, lemon rind, some minerality, white peach. So tasty. It's
It's a gateway gal of Chardonnays.
It's totally a gateway gal of Chardonnays. It is a California Chardonnay. This is, quote, heavily influenced by the San Pablo Bay to its south, and this area is an excellent place to grow grapes that favor a cool climate, and one that really comes alive when growing temperatures are lower is Chardonnay. So this is a single vineyard, organically grown porter and plot Chardonnay, which is bright and lively and a completely different style than the oak heavy Chardonnays that hail from further north. So this is not going to be a grandma oaky butter bomb.
So it's a Chardonnay we would like.
Exactly.
Gal approved.
A gal approved Chardonnay. It says here, enjoy this glamorously elegant Chardonnay while channeling Grace Kelly. So say no more.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So I have my nice pop wine key already in place. And if you don't have one of those, you can get one at wineandcrimepodcast.bakecartel.com along with a lot of other amazing merch.
Wow.
Shall we pop?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, that was good.
That was a very elegant pop.
Ooh, it smells
Grace
so
Kelly pop.
Nice
good.
pop.
Oh yeah.
I'm drinking our red blend because
Also gorgeous wine.
I'm completely obsessed with it.
She bought cases of
I
it.
literally bought cases of it.
Well, if you want
Yeah.
to see upcoming wine pairings from Wink and get linked to those and check out our own wines, just head to the wine tab on our website, wineandcrimepodcast.com. It has all the info.
All the thanks. All right. Well,
thanks.
cheers, guys.
Cheers, everyone.
And
It's a strawberry white claw kind of day for me.
Oh, yeah. Every day is a strawberry white claw kind of day.
Lucy, what is our background and maybe, but probably not psych for Bad to the Bones?
There's no
psych.
psych.
Shaking my goat bones to signify that there is no psych.
Love it.
Oh, I should go get Lori. Should Lori join us?
Yes.
Hold on. Ray, get the fuck up.
Is Lori Bones
Yes.
Sure is. I'll be right back.
human or animal? Or do I not want to know?
You'll know soon enough.
Why do you know? Were
I've
you
seen
there?
her. Yeah.
Should I have seen her at our friends weekend?
You didn't spend as much time there as I did on our friends weekend because remember my
Oh.
neck like froze up, so I spent a whole day at Lucy's house.
Did you meet Lori then?
You showed Lori
So-
to Zach.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so Lori is a pair of human arms that they're not all connected anymore. Some of them are. But my friend Pete, shout out Pete, he does not listen to this show, sorry. His grandfather worked at like a university, and so he had an
A likely
anatomical
story.
Well, they're like they've got like wires and springs and stuff. So it was an actual human skeleton. And after his grandfather passed away, he used to have the whole thing, but they could only find the arms. And none of them wanted just the arms, so they gave them to me. So I named her Lori because she is from a sort of petite adult female. Obviously, no way to know her actual name, but these are her hands.
Look at Amanda's face. Those are human hand skeletons.
I just feel like
bones.
the fact that like parts of her were just taken.
Her body was
she
donated to science. And
Yeah.
then eventually science tired of her body.
That's
and
what I mean.
Lucy got it.
And he used to have all of her, and then people were just like, I'm taking the head.
I don't know. They don't know what happened to the rest.
I know what happened to the rest. Or someone else out there has a podcast and is doing exactly this right now. with
she's only
Lori.
missing her arms.
God.
There was a
Anyway.
human skeleton in my high school science classroom when I was a foreign exchange student in France.
Cool.
Just chilling in the room. Not like we used it for anything. So like donated to science. It was just like, it was like decor in this science classroom.
They
My
just
God.
don't make them like they used to. Look, she was
Okay.
just about my size.
Oh, Lucy and Lori.
Best of friends. Anyway, so this is Lori. She might come up again later for illustrative purposes.
Okay.
Okay. So Amanda's face. Okay. So bone is living, rigid body tissue consisting of cells embedded in an abundant, hard intercellular material. The two principal components of this material, collagen and calcium phosphate, distinguish bone from such other hard tissues as chitin, enamel, and shell. So chitin is the white, horny substance found on the outer skeleton of insects, crabs, and lobsters, and in the internal structures of other invertebrates. So it's like what crabs are made out of.
Oh, I've never ever heard of that before, but
Neither have
okay.
I.
Because it's not bone, and it's not enamel, and it's not shell. It's chitin.
Okay.
And then enamel is the hardest tissue of the body, covering part or all of the crown of the tooth in mammals.
Okay.
And so just pointing out here that teeth are not bone. That is a very common misconception. Teeth are made up of enamel, dentin, cementum, and pulp.
Oh, we know about tooth pulp.
We
Yep.
know about tooth pulp.
We know too much about tooth pulp.
We did, what was it? Forensic
Odontology.
odontology. So if you're interested in hearing more fun facts about teeth, head on
That
back
was
to
a
that
great
app.
app.
It was a really great app.
fucking fantastic
We had
episode.
such a good guest.
Yeah, we had Dr. Lee. Oh,
I love
my
Dr. Lee.
Lord. Bone tissue makes
crush.
up, yeah, he had a silky accent and a lot of stories. So bone tissue makes up the individual bones of the human skeletal system and the skeletons of other vertebrates. The functions of bone include vertebrates. The functions of
I don't know where.
I'm practicing my terminology.
Okay.
Vertebrates.
Okay.
I have a vertebrae here somewhere too. It's not, it's of a cow though.
Okay.
Okay, the functions of bone include 1, structural support for the mechanical action of soft tissues, such as the contraction of muscles and the expansion of lungs. 2, protection of soft organs and tissues, like as by the skull, protects your brain.
Yep.
3, provision of a protective site for specialized tissues, such as the blood-forming system, aka bone marrow.
Okay.
Oh.
And 4, a mineral reservoir whereby the endocrine system regulates the level of calcium and phosphate in the circulating body fluids. So, you know how like our bodies maintain equal levels of whatever the shit needs to be maintained in our bodies?
Yeah. Well, as it's supposed to, but yeah. Not
called-
all of our bodies do that.
Right. That is called homeostasis, and bones are like an extremely important component of homeostasis, just keeping everything in our bodies regulated.
I know that this is a surprise to no one, but like I am eternally surprised by how little I know about the human body.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Also, Canada. I know nothing about Canada.
yeah, right.
Like, we did not learn about Canada in school. I'm so sorry, Canada.
It never, all the exposure, and it just never sunk in.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I really like doing the background and psych and stuff for these kinds of topics, because
You learn.
it makes a lot more sense when you're not also studying, I don't know, math and music and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
When
like
you can
just more
actually just
interesting.
focus on one thing.
Yeah. And when we get to hear really cool cases about those particular things and like solidify, condense all of our knowledge.
There you go, teachers. Just play Wine and Crime for your students, and they'll learn everything they need to know.
Yeah.
And then some. And then a lot of stupid bullshit also.
way
Maybe
too much.
Some new swear words, some new sex positions,
Ooh.
whatever. So
Whatever. Fire all teachers.
don't
We got
do
this.
that.
Mike.
Here are some fun facts about bones. The adult human body has about 206 bones, but babies are born with almost 300 bones. So do babies lose bones? No.
Okay.
They fuse together.
They fuse together as the baby grows to form a complete skeleton.
Woo!
So I think having like more smaller bones probably helps with like delivery. Oh, look, Amanda's right.
Yeah,
For
they're
the
like
second
cats.
time.
They're just like squishier.
I'm celebrating quietly.
And they can like fall more and be okay. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
don't let them fall, but like,
But they're
can.
gonna.
But, like, they
because
could.
They're
They probably
basically
will.
liquid. They're just
Yeah.
little bean bags.
Yeah.
Helpless
exactly.
fucking bean bag sacks.
They're just little kickballs.
Ugh.
Okay, that was disturbing. There are 26 bones in the foot and 54 in the hand and the wrist.
My God.
Wow.
In
Have
the
you
glory.
counted?
This is definitely not 54, but I'm sure there are a lot in the wrist too.
Mm-hmm.
It's all in the wrist.
It's all in the wrist. The femur or the thigh is the longest and the strongest bone in the body. The only bone in the human body not connected to another bone is called the hyoid, which is a V-shaped bone located at the base of the tongue.
Mm-hmm. So if the hyoid bone is broken, a lot of times it means that someone could have died by like hanging or some kind of like very rough strangulation.
Asphyxiation.
Right.
Got it.
So that's the one in your tongue.
Got it.
And because, okay, so I heard two different numbers for this, but because the collagen in your bone is constantly replenishing itself, you have an entirely new skeleton about between every 7 and 10 years.
How about the discs in my fucking back renew
no.
themselves?
Can't help you
replenish
there.
themselves.
Can't
That'd be
help you
great.
there. Can't be done.
I can't help you there.
Can't be done.
Also, your funny bone isn't a bone. It's actually your ulnar nerve inside your elbow. So there's a nerve right between your elbow bones right here,
Okay.
but it's not a bone. So we've talked before in the forensic anthropology episode about what information can be determined from looking at human bones, but we're going to revisit that just briefly. So this is a excerpt from a Medium article. Quote, a forensic anthropologist can estimate the age, gender, race, and height of a dead person by analyzing the bones. These are called primary indicators, and although they can't determine with precision the identity of the dead person, they do help in narrowing down the possible profiles. So along with primary indicators, they also use identifiers. And most of the examples of identifiers have to do with soft tissue, so they're not related to bones. So one of the examples is like tattoos on the skin or fingerprints, because they can, even if it's seriously decomposed or like the skin is super dried out, they can take it and rehydrate it and then literally wear it over a living person's gloved hand and take the fingerprints.
Got it.
Is that cool? I love that.
Yes, that is cool. Can't they also tell from the bones of like whether somebody has given birth or not, or like been pregnant or whatever? Because like the hip bones change.
I think so. I didn't read about that here, but I did read about like sexual dimorphism, and I don't talk about it in my notes, I don't think, but like women's bones tend to be smaller and not as long. And then, of course, we have a different shaped pelvis.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't have that weird little wiener bone that's not actually a wiener bone. And our hips are like tilted up a little bit more and they're wider. But I don't know for sure if your bones look different if you have given birth. I don't think the bones shift that much, but I'm not.
I think they do, but not if like you've just been pregnant, in the early stages and not, more advanced to like third trimester or birth.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that a lot of new moms will like go to physical therapy after giving birth because of like how fucked up their bodies get, but I don't know if that means that their bones are
I think that would
changing much.
fix your soft tissue and your muscles a lot more than your skeletal structure.
Probably.
Yeah, no, it changes the diameter of your pelvis.
Wow.
Giving birth. I don't know if it's giving birth or if it's just being close to giving birth. So I don't know if it's the same if somebody like has a C-section.
C-section, yeah.
And their body's already like prepared.
Weird.
Interesting.
Yeah. Your pelvic bones will slightly
gross.
separate from each other, and it's this separation that allows your baby to move through the pelvic joints.
Thanks, I hate it.
Wow.
Does it suck back together later?
Okay.
I don't know.
Because your bones are connected with soft tissue, so
Okay.
maybe that tissue expands and retracts.
Here we go. This is an article from the Chicago Tribune, Bone Expert to Examine Skeleton. How can you tell if a female skeleton has given birth? Forensic specialists can tell if a woman or person gave birth by the presence of a series of shotgun pellet-sized pockmarks along the inside of the pelvic bone caused by the tearing of ligaments during childbirth. The bone impressions are a permanent record of the trauma, but they do not reveal how many children were born.
No.
Oh
Nope.
my God. I am getting an epidural that is just, oh God.
That is fucked up. Anyway.
Okay. Okay. These are some other identifiers that are also used. They can positively identify a person and regarding bones include a DNA profile, which we will get to, anthropometry, which is measurements of the hands, feet, ear, nose, etc.
And palm.
Anthropometry.
She got me.
Okay.
Kenya gets it. Keep
And
up.
also known pathologies, so like deformities or anomalies. Maybe a sixth finger.
Oh.
You
something
don't
like
say.
A six-toed cat.
Oh, don't get me started.
Polydactyls.
Here's a fun fact. The half-life of DNA is about 521 years. So DNA can last about 1,000 years, give or take. And this is super dependent on the environment because it breaks down just like any other biological materials. So DNA can be best preserved in something like dry Antarctic ice, where it could survive for a few 100,000 years.
Whoa.
So like those bodies in like peat bogs and bodies at the top
Glaciers.
of Everest, it's just like the rest of the body. It's very well preserved.
Wow.
And so DNA does that same thing. Bone is one of the best sources of DNA from decomposed human remains. Even after the flesh is decomposed, DNA can often be obtained from demineralized bone. DNA from bone has been used to identify the repatriated bones from Vietnam-era servicemen and women and people, and the remains of the white Russian Romanov family who were executed during the Bolshevik Revolution. So I think about that. I think that they thought at the time if they eliminated that whole family, that was the end of the line. But actually, they did some DNA testing with the bones of these victims and realized that that was not the case.
They just did a DNA test. Turns out
They're 100% that
that
Romanov.
bitch.
Well, there weren't any direct descendants of the Tsar left because Anastasia definitely did not survive.
Not according to the movie.
I know, so good. I rewatched it really not that long ago.
She made it.
But there were like cousins. There were plenty of like other people, but nobody in like direct line for succession.
But there was some claim that was the case at some point. So like when they did do the DNA sampling from these bones, it was like a big deal. I didn't read too much into it.
I
knew
think it
Kenyon
was
could fill
trying
us
to
in.
prove that Anastasia died along with the rest of the family.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what it was. Because there are like plenty of more distant Romanov descendants like living in England still, like ever since the revolution or before.
Like how you and Amanda are related.
Right?
That was a very jarring realization.
I hired someone, which reminds me, quick shout out to Katie from Not Forgotten Genealogy. You can find her on Instagram. I hired her to do my family tree on both sides because I am so concerned that Kenyon and I might actually be related that I had to get real confirmation. And she has been working diligently
Day
on
and
my
night.
family tree. She's almost completed my mom's side of the tree, and she's putting together like this beautiful presentation of the family tree. She sends me updates and gives me like pictures. She's working on my dad's side right now and just found out that my great-great-grandfather, or maybe great-great-great-grandfather, was like a glass blower and helped build this like beautiful structure at this little town in France where my family is from. It's like
Cool.
the fucking coolest. She finds all these like records and shit. It's
French
rad.
Canada.
No, I have mom's side of the family has French Canadian lineage, but my dad's side has actual French lineage.
Okay.
So
Cool. I wanna hire
Not
her.
Forgotten Genealogy. You should hire her. Her pricing is amazing. Find her on Instagram. Check her out.
Doing that.
Do it.
So since bones and teeth are often the only biological materials remaining after exposure to environmental conditions, intense heat, certain traumatic events, and in cases where a significant amount of time has passed since the death of the individual, the ability to purify large quantities of informative DNA from these hard tissues is obviously extremely beneficial. So when we're talking about bones versus teeth, I thought this was a really cool differentiation. There are certain conditions under which bone can provide more and better quality DNA samples. According to a study published in 2018, the quality of DNA extracted from teeth was greater than that extracted from bone in the following environments: buried in sand, soaked in caustic soda, and burnt with rubber. So very specific environs. By contrast, the quality of DNA extracted from bone was greater than that extracted from teeth when samples were buried in soil or submerged in water, which I would think is probably more common than being buried in sand, soaked in soda, or burnt with rubber.
Probably. You'd think.
So I think statistically, like frequency-wise, bone is like what you want.
The number one.
However, as we learned in whatever episode that was, we talked about cremation and just
The
decomposition.
cremation episode.
Oh, yeah, whatever. We've done so many fucking episodes. I don't even know.
It's true. We have.
The teeth are actually kind of the last to go. So if it's a burning situation, then the bone might not be available
Right.
Got
but
it.
the teeth will be.
for a while
Sure,
longer.
sure.
Don't think that you can burn a body and get rid of evidence. Just
No.
don't.
Literally
No.
can't. You
No.
literally can't.
No.
They can even get trace evidence out of a crematory like burn situation.
Yeah.
You cannot get rid of it all. Give it up. We're done.
Large moving bodies of water are the only, not to give tips, but
Honestly, or like a swamp in Florida, like where gators will make sure nothing is found.
right, animals.
You want animals, you want currents. Okay.
You wanna if you're going the burn route, burn it for at least 5 days.
Don't go the burn route. You don't have access to
If you're
the
gonna
type
go
of
the burn route.
temperatures that you need.
5 days.
And then dump the
high
remains in a
temperatures.
high current
Then-
situation.
Then cinder blocks, grind up what's left because it will be very brittle at that point. Then either throw it in the ocean or let the wind carry all of it away.
It is trash.
But you're not going to get away by just burning alone.
Absolutely not.
The
Absolutely
amount of
not gonna
evidence that
happen.
they can get from that little burn pit on
Oh.
your fucking property with all your abandoned cars.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. I don't know why we're helping these murderers.
I don't think, quote unquote, these murderers are listening to our show.
These murderers.
Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have fucked up and gotten caught
Yeah.
if they had just listened to us.
So there was no discernible difference in the quality of DNA extracted from bones and teeth in several environments, including being submerged in seawater, soaked in sulfuric acid, left in open air, and stored at 4, -20, and -80 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
So if we're going by which is better more commonly, I would vote bone.
Yeah.
But again,
Depends
it's not
on
like a
the context.
huge amount of difference. Yeah.
Sure.
So here's another fun fact. There are no federal laws, thank God, for preventing you from legally purchasing, owning, or selling human bones and skulls in the United States unless they are Native American.
Okay.
Specimens often come from China, where unclaimed remains are sold to bone distributors.
That's tough.
Yeah. Many skulls on the market today are from India, which was once a primary provider of skulls to the world market, but banned the practice of exporting human remains in 1987.
We're not saying it's not problematic. We're
Yeah.
saying it's not federally illegal in this
Right.
country.
Correct.
Right.
Let's
It
make that
differs-
very fucking clear.
Yeah.
It differs by state, but there are no federal laws.
Right.
And an average adult skull runs around $500.
I don't-
The ones I looked at are a lot more than that.
I have no desire. The way that you acquired for free Lori, it was like you inherited her, kind of, in
I'm
a way.
taking good
you didn't
care of
pay
her.
for her.
No, I'm taking good care of her.
And
She
she's
was
from
donated
the
to
US.
science. She's from the U.S. I don't personally have the paperwork for her, but it was passed down through the educational system over many decades.
Right.
So I'm hoping that it was done
I'm more
ethically.
comfortable with that than the purchasing of any kind of human remains, which I feel like is probably not okay.
If you're curious about this and more, I encourage our Patreon donors to check out my episode of Spooky Little Bitch on oddities, because
Yep.
we talk about this very thing quite extensively. Shout out Henry. You also don't listen to the show either. Okay. So the human skeleton can be divided into two parts, the axial and the appendicular. So the axial skeleton, which is comprised of about 80 bones, is formed by the vertebral column, your back, a part of the rib cage, so 12 pairs of ribs, and the sternum. That's not technically your whole rib cage, but we'll kind of call it your rib cage. And your skull, which is made up of 22 bones and 7 associated bones. I'm assuming the associated bones are like your ear bones, the ones in your ears, and like your hyoid or whatever, your tongue
Hyoid.
bone. Hyoid. The upright posture of humans is maintained by this axial skeleton, which transmits the weight from the head, the trunk, and the upper extremities down to the lower extremities at the hip joints. So axial skeleton is what makes us stand up upright. We
And
exist
it's also
upright.
pretty critical. I mean, you can live without your appendages.
Well, I wouldn't say one is more crucial than the other because of a reason I'm about to give you.
Okay.
So the appendicular skeleton, which is composed of about 126 bones, is formed by the pectoral girdles, so like your chest,
Okay.
the upper limbs, your arms, the pelvic girdle or the pelvis, and your lower limbs. So
I don't like that I have so many girdles.
I love
And
a good girdle.
sphincters.
Too many girdles, too many sphincters. Too many cooks.
The function of your appendicular, their functions are to make locomotion possible and to protect the major organs of digestion, excretion, and reproduction. So, yes, you could
Excretion.
lose your arms and your legs, but if you lost your entire appendicular system, then
Including, like your protecting your lungs and your
Yeah,
pelvis.
then you're kinda
then
fucked.
That'd be
yeah.
right.
So
Okay.
those are just kind of the two categories we can split up our skeleton into.
And the ribs, it's interesting because for a long time, people removed some of their lower ribs. I mean,
Yeah,
some
for
people
tiny
still do it.
waist
Yeah.
training.
Also, some people are born with a 13th set of ribs or one extra rib on one side, and that
wow.
it has a weird name. It's called like the cervix rib or something. It sounds vaginal, but it's not. But it's an extra rib, and that is what our friend McClure has. So her rib is like up here, and it was causing her intense back and shoulder pain.
Yeah, that was
her
bad.
shoulder was
Yeah.
totally fucked. And they didn't know that for
It
like
took
years.
so
They
many
couldn't-
specialists, and then one doctor looked at her x-ray and she was like, yeah, bitch, you got an extra rib.
Yeah.
No one else fucking picked up on that.
Wow.
Oh my God, they put her through so much. It's so
I
fucking
know.
ridiculous, our fucking medical system.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have two different kinds of bones. Hard bone, which is called the cortical bone, which are also considered the structural bone. So like this is your cortical bone. And soft and spongy bones called trabecular bones. Your trabecular bones are also called your, I fucking forgot. Sorry, I didn't write it down. Something else.
They're also called something.
They
have an alias.
Both of these different types of bones have like a couple of names.
Okay.
So your trabecular bones are found inside your large bones, your pelvis, ribs, and skull. The general functional role of trabecular bones is to provide strength and transfer external load away from the joint and toward the cortical bone. So I guess I think so. If you imagine a bone like this, like a long bone, like what you picture when you think of a bone, that spongy kind of cavity bunch on the end, that's your spongy, that's your trabecular bone. So that's the part that connects to your joints, and it transfers that energy, like any impact away from the joints and the soft tissue into the hard bone, which is like the important structural part. Because
like a little barrier, kind of like a joist.
yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Inside the cavities of spongy bone is soft, fatty tissue comprised of an irregular network of blood vessels and cell types, and this is bone marrow.
Always confusing.
There are two types of bone marrow. There's red and yellow. Red marrow contains stem cells, unspecialized cells that can grow into different types of specialized cells. So when you get a bone marrow transplant, they're transplanting the red marrow, the stem cells.
Because then it can automatically regenerate of its own accord in the
it's like
new
the
body.
wild card. If you're playing Uno,
Got it.
you want the wild card.
Yeah.
Got it.
They're responsible for replenishing and replacing cells in the body that have been damaged or lost. Yellow marrow is mostly fat, and as we age, it can be found in places where red marrow once resided. So I think if you go to a restaurant and you order like a beef bone marrow, that's the yellow.
That's got to be the
yellow
fatty
marrow.
marrow. Yeah. It's got to be.
If the body needs more blood cells, yellow marrow can transform back into red marrow to produce them.
Wow, it's like a little backup.
Yeah.
Cool. Our bodies are fucking amazing.
It's insane that all of this forms. I mean, I know it grows after that, but all of this forms like in utero.
Yeah.
Like that's fucking insane.
I love episodes like this because, like, how could I possibly care that I'm like a little bit fat when like my body can do all of this
It can
cool
do such
shit?
amazing things. I
Yeah.
know that I'm also going through that right now and thinking that and being like, you know what? Actually, all the things are
I'm
working
incredible.
pretty great.
We should all love our bodies because our bodies do incredible things that you almost never think about.
Right. Yeah.
And thank God I don't because it's all gross. I don't want to think about it. I just want it to happen.
You have shotgun shell-sized holes on your pelvis from the trauma
Not
of
yet.
childbirth.
None of us have given birth, so not yet. We have that to look forward to. Not Amanda.
Getting the shot.
Woof. The shot.
So there are 4 different types of bones. We have long bones. Here's an example of a long bone. This is a slightly curved shaft capped on both sides with a hyaline cartilage, and it's longer than it is thick. These bones are made mostly of compact bone, allowing them to support great amounts of weight and withstand pressure. So, again, the stereotypical bone that you think of is a long bone.
Have you ever tested it? Have you ever like hit it against things?
This bone?
Or, like lean?
No,
Yeah, like
Don't
lean stuff.
disrespect Lori like that.
Okay. All right.
She will fucking find her
I
hands
guess
and
I'm
arm.
just more scientifically curious.
I
It's fine.
feel I would prefer to hit my own arm against something hard.
Amanda. Horror.
That bitch is gonna get haunted. By that bitch, I mean Kenyan. Oh, speaking of haunting, I saw the most amazing TikTok where somebody stitched together. It's a woman who's going viral right now where she's saying, like, say something out loud that's going to, like, get a lot of backlash, but, like, you believe in it strongly. I'm not saying it right.
I saw that.
And then it cuts to this guy who's like, okay, nobody's going to like this, but ghosts can't hurt you because if they could, there'd be a lot of white people attacked by ghosts. And I was like, wait.
It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Fucking chattel slavery. Like, none of us would be, we'd all be
To
murdered by
name
ghosts.
one example, like
Right.
Yeah.
Of infinite examples.
Exactly. So, you know, I don't think ghosts can hurt you. That doesn't mean they can't communicate with you.
They can freak you out.
They can absolutely
They can
freak
make
you
your
out.
life a misery.
I gotta say, I have my Robert the Doll snow globe right here, and he might beg to differ.
Oh! It's actually really cute. I really like it.
It still looks like Ho Chi Minh. to me.
Robert? No. I never got to see Ho Chi Minh, though. He was
I
at
don't
his
see
wax. He was getting his facial when we were there. Those like leaders, like Ho Chi Minh and what's his name, Mao and everything. There's like a place in Russia where like every decade or so they get shipped back,
We will
re-waxed.
get to it in a potential drunk time.
Oh, excellent.
No.
Okay, I won't say anything more. Okay, back to the different types of bones. Then we have short bones. These consist mainly of spongy bone with a protective covering of compact bone. Short bones are neither long nor thick, but rather cube-like. So, for example, your kneecaps and your wrists and some of the bones in your feet and ankles are short bones. So I think like these little guys right here on Lori would be called short bones.
Oh, yeah, those are little.
But these are long bones. Your fingers are long bones, even though they're not like...
Anything
Puppies.
it's like a chode. A chode is...
It's like the little filler bones. So short bones aren't designed for a great deal of movement, but they're sturdy, compact, and durable. Then we have flat bones. These are thin and flat, go figure. Flat bones have
Who knew?
They have a middle layer of spongy bone located between two protective layers of compact bone. These bones are generally protective in nature. Flat bones make up most of the 29 bones that fuse together to form the skull and protect the brain. And
they're the bread of a sandwich.
The lettuce of the
they
wrap.
also protect the major internal organs by forming the 24 ribs of the rib cage as well as the sternum. Your shoulder blade is also a flat bone. These bones contain marrow, but they aren't large enough to have marrow cavities. So marrow is found instead in the spongy bone. Not a lot of spongy bone in these flat bones. The marrow in flat bones produce more red blood cells than any other adult bone type. And then, last but not least, we have irregular bones. So these bones, they just don't fit into the other three categories. So like your vertebrae and your jawbone are irregular bones.
Okay.
These types of bones usually have a very specialized function and are made up of mostly spongy bone with a thin layer of compact bone around it. So you might be thinking about breaking a bone. When you
Hopefully not.
When you break a bone, blood vessels form in the area almost immediately to help the healing process. This is called the reactive phase.
Have either of you broken a bone?
I have.
What'd you break?
I broke my left arm at a roller skating birthday party when I was 9, and it was almost a compound fracture that went through the skin.
Ooh.
And like the manager at the roller skating rink called 911 and made everybody in the skating rink sit down so they could take me out on a stretcher. It was humiliating.
Oh, you didn't love the drama of that?
No.
That's like right up your alley.
At 9 years old, it was not right up my alley. Now, absolutely. Bring the stretcher.
I'm pretty
Bring it
sure
on.
I've broken my pinky toe before, but like
I also broke my big toe
there's
on
like
that party
no
bus.
way. Like big toes are one thing, but pinky toes, I didn't even
There's
go
nothing you
in
can do.
for
You
it.
just tape
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I got
There's
a
not
hairline.
much they can do for the big toe either unless you need surgery. They just gave me, they taped mine
But they
and gave me a
gave you
boot.
an X-ray, right, to confirm that it was broken.
They gave me an X. They'll give you an X-ray on your pinky toe if you really want one. They can't
Yeah.
fucking do anything about it.
I didn't do anything
you know?
about it.
I got a hairline fracture in my arm the first day of summer camp. Like literally, like we like got there, set our bags down in our cabins, and then like went
Broke our
for
arms.
like registration and like games. And I like played soccer.
Why?
Like literally like the one and only time I've ever played soccer in my life. And I slipped in the mud and fell and got this fracture in my arm.
Yeah. No,
And then the
not worth
rest
it.
of camp, I stuck it out through camp. But every day or like almost every day, they like took me into town to like go to the doctor or whatever. And then I got a blizzard
Nice.
from Dairy Queen.
Nice. Camp rule.
I didn't break my arm, but I don't know what I did. I think it was a hairline fracture too. It wasn't like a break.
Yeah.
But I was
Right.
I want to say I was 6 years old, and I was playing a game at my old house in South Minneapolis. I was wearing tights because I always wore tights. They were white, and
Yes, you did. You were so pale. And then you wore white
I just like tights. It made you faster. So, well, it made me faster this night too. My mom's friend was over, and they were having White Russians in the dining room, and I was playing my game where I would jump off the end of the leather couch onto a pile of couch cushions on the floor, and I was like, "Mom, look at me!" And I jumped, but because of my tights, I fucked up the dismount and went crashing into the piano.
Oh my God.
I remember like waking up under the piano bench, and I fucked up my arm. I had to go to the ER, and I got a hot pink cast. It was awesome.
Woo! Yeah, and it looked super dope with my
It
tights.
super did, and it smelled real bad when they took it off.
Yeah. Nothing like white tights to accentuate a cast. That's a
Oh my
Luke.
God, I know. It is a Luke. So reactive phase. Within 21 days, collagen forms to harden and hold the broken pieces in place. The damaged surfaces knit together to form new bone, which is often stronger than the original bone. So
Fun.
overall,
Upgrade.
overall, it takes about 12 weeks for a bone to completely heal. There are also, as we kind of just went over, a bunch of different types of fractures, like 15. But here are just a few. We have a stress fracture, and that is the result of sustained force on a bone, such as that created by running or jumping. Most stress fractures occur in the lower body due to the accumulated weight that the bones in our legs and feet must support.
That sounds horrible.
I don't like
Where
it.
was I? Oh,
Don't.
when I was in Key West, we went snuba diving, which is a combo of scuba and snorkeling.
And snorkel.
It was really fucking fun. But one of the boys on one of the guides, on our pontoon was telling me about this time his dad fell off a roof and he landed on his feet, but he fell off from like a couple of stories. And his legs just buckled.
No.
They just buckled. And so, like, his torso was, like, against the ground. Yeah.
See, this is why I can't watch like videos of people getting hurt. Like it's not funny to me.
Unless it's
getting hurt.
kids. I love kids getting hurt because they're soft and they bounce
Yeah,
right
they're
back.
fine, and nobody's gonna post a video of their kid like actually getting seriously
get-
hurt.
yeah,
But like
exactly.
adults getting hurt videos are like usually like pretty fucking gnarly, and like
skateboarding accidents.
all I can
Yeah.
think of is like the lingering back pain
Oh yeah.
that you will have for the rest of your life. Like we have a friend who like went skydiving in her like early 50s, I think, or mid 50s. And something fucking went wrong. Like she survived, but something went wrong where she like, I don't know, whatever. Or maybe it was bungee jumping. I don't know. Something went wrong. And she like fucked up her back forever.
No, I don't like that. I don't like it.
No.
Ugh,
No.
Okay. So, stress fracture. Okay. Then we have a complete fracture. This is when the bone breaks neatly into two pieces. This is what I think happened to me when I jumped off the couch in my white tights. A green stick fracture. So this is when the bone has cracked on one side, but it didn't crack all the way through. And these breaks normally occur in children because they're nightmares.
Ugh.
Then we have a simple transverse. This type of fracture is an even perpendicular break to the bone. So imagine if someone chopped your femur bone in half by neatly striking it from the side at a right angle. So like, boop.
I would rather not imagine that.
Here's a visual
Thank
for
you.
you. Boop, boop, boop.
Nope.
And then we have a spiral fracture. And this is when the bone has been twisted past its maximum point of resistance.
Okay, we're good. We're good. We're good. We're all good. I'd rather hear about murders right now.
Yep. Can we get to the murder, please?
I have one more thing to round us out.
Oh,
Because
good.
I was thinking about bones. And so I looked up the etymology of the word boner. And in 1912, it meant blunder, and that was a baseball slang, probably from bonehead. Bonehead. But today, the word boner means erect penis. And we started using that word in the 1950s from the earlier bone on, which was more prevalent in the 1940s. I got a big bone on.
Ish.
Oh, I like that better. Bring bone on back.
I
Bone
hate
on.
that. That's deeply upsetting.
Yeah. And then probably a variation with connecting notion of hardness of the word hard on, which has been around since 1893.
And that's
Wow.
still the slang? That's crazy that slang has
Wow.
lasted that long.
Hard on. Got a real hard on.
Love it.
that.
Yeah. So anyway,
Great.
that's my seg.
Thank you
Well
for
done.
all of that.
I learned a lot. I was
You're
made
welcome.
deeply uncomfortable.
Yep.
All right. Should we hear a quick word from our sponsors?
Let's do it.
Sure.
You all know that I am a salon manicure gal, and I've spent a lot of money on mani-pedis at the salon, y'all. Like,
A tragic amount.
yeah, like I can't talk about it. But Olive and June has saved my wallet because I got the Olive and June mani system, and now I can do DIY manis that look salon perfect and last 7 or more days. And everyone always asks what salon I go to, and I'm like, JK, did this one myself, and they barely believe it.
Barely, but it looks so good.
For real.
So my favorite thing about the Olive and June manicure system is that poppy, that rubber handle that you just pop on the top of those brushes. And it just makes painting your nails so much easier. It's like shocking how much easier it is to paint even your dominant hand. And they have so many cute colors. I am in love with the hot strawberry for the summer.
Oh, so good.
If you know,
You know.
And it's always like my self-care time. I just like to plop down with a new episode of Real Housewives and just paint my nails. And
Yes.
it's so soothing. And it comes out looking so good. But there's also that like instant gratification, like feeling very proud of myself moment also. And it seriously looks like a gel manicure. It's super shiny. It doesn't chip. It lasts like a week or longer if you like do like the primer and then the glossy top coat. And it's like I said, you just feel so proud of yourself. And now you can get 20% off your first mani system with our code GALS. Tell them more, Amanda.
Yes, seriously, your new nail life is here. Like Lucy said, get 20% off your first mani system when you use promo code GALS, GALS, at oliveandjune.com because we are done with expensive and bad manicures. This is the new us. Go to oliveandjune.com and use that promo code GALS today and treat your nails.
Straight up. Are you tired of having some good hair days and some bad hair days?
Really bad.
Or for me, it was mostly bad hair days because I have very thin hair.
Yeah.
It's very fine. It's really hard to find products that don't just weigh you down and make your hair feel like greasy. And that's why Function of Beauty is a life-changing. Function of Beauty makes hair care products that are 100% customized to your specific individual needs so you can turn those good hair days into a good hair life.
Ugh, seriously. Function of Beauty is amazing. And they're the world leader in customizable beauty. They offer customized formulations for your hair's needs. So here is how you get started. And let me tell you, they cover everything. I, like Lucy, have very fine hair, but then I also have colored hair. I have hair extensions that are also colored. So I need
You have a lot going on.
I have a lot going on. I have a complex situation. So I need to make sure that I am hydrating this hair, that I am using color protectant and color safe shampoo and conditioner. And it's just it can be a lot to find all of those products, and they just blend it into one beautiful thing. And here's how you do it. First, you take a quick but very thorough quiz that tells them a little bit about your hair type. So do you have straight hair? Do you have wavy hair, curly hair, coily hair? They also ask you what your hair goals are. So for me, I want to lengthen my hair, obviously. That's why I paid for more hair. I also want a little bit of volume. I personally don't need oil control. I need moisturizing. But if you do have more of an oily scalp, you can put that in there. You can say, oh, dang, I need to dial that back. And then they also do it seasonally. So if you have hair that gets a little frizzy in the winter, but then it's oily in the summer, when the seasons change, your hair goals can change. So you can switch those up based on how your hair looks and feels. Or if it doesn't really change throughout the year, you can just keep that same formula throughout the year like I do. Next, you choose your color and your fragrance, or you can go fragrance and dye free. So when they say you can customize this, you customize everything down to what color your shampoo is so it looks cute in your bathroom with all of your other products.
And your nickname on the bottle.
For real. So after you take all of this quiz, Function of Beauty sends you your 100% customized formula along with a regimen card that has recommendations on when and how to use your products so you're always getting it right. And they also just launched its best-in-class subscriber program. You know I love to just set it and forget it. This has changed my life. So this is Function with benefits. Subscribers get discounts on every order, a free treatment like a hair mask, a serum, or a leave-in. And you get that every 4 orders, and then access to exclusive fragrances and colors, early access to new products, and so much more.
So turn your good hair days into a good hair life. Go to functionofbeauty.com/gals, GALS, to take your quiz and save 20% on your first order. Again, go to functionofbeauty.com/gals to let them know you heard about it from our show and to get 20% off your order. One more time, functionofbeauty.com/gals, and treat your good hair life.
Treat it.
Are we ready for my case?
Absolutely not. Let's do this.
Usually not.
So in 1986, John Morris asked a friend of his, a man named Newell Sessions, who lived on a ranch.
Never trust a Newell.
A Newell.
Or a Sessions, let's be honest.
Yeah. We've learned that the hard way.
Well, Newell is not the worst person in this case.
Okay.
Okay.
So Newell said, John Morris asked his friend Newell, who lived on a ranch in Thermopolis, Wyoming, which
What? Okay.
I'm sure is beautiful, if he could leave some possessions with him for safekeeping while he left town for an unspecified period of time.
I bet they're bones. We hold my bones. We actually just had a house guest, and we are holding a lot of bones for him, but they are animal bones.
You're a really cute grifter house guest.
Mm-hmm.
Love.
You're not grifter, drifter.
Drifter. He's not a grifter.
Is
He's
there
currently
a
living
difference?
out of a van.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
A
difference.
grifter is a scam artist drifter, and a drifter is just a
Oh.
drifter.
Like
Yeah.
your dream friend,
Yes.
Kenyon's dream friend, the Floridian psychic / grifter.
Sure.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. Okay, so will you hold my shit for me? I'm getting out of Dodge. Can't
Hold
trim.
my
I'll be
bones.
back.
Hold my bones.
So Newell agreed. Amongst these possessions was a padlocked old steamer trunk
Nope.
sitting in an outdoor shed.
Nope.
I think
There's
we
a
all
mummy in there.
see where
Guarantee
this
it.
is going.
Tell you right now, there's a mummy.
6 years later, in 1992, so hasn't heard from his friend in 6 years.
And
Oh,
hasn't
Jesus.
busted open all
Nope.
of his stuff. If Aaron, our friend, doesn't come back in 2 months or at least check in, I'm taking all of those bones.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would get, if either of you were like, will you hold my shit? I'm going to be gone for like some amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
I would rifle through your shit within 48 hours. I'll be honest.
Guaranteed.
Well,
So you left Kenyon's boyfriend box at your parents' house, and we went through it immediately. Immediately. You were barely out the door.
you guys made videos of rifling
We
through
did.
it.
You had journals in there.
That you sent to some of the boys in question.
What?
Oh,
I don't remember
absolutely.
that.
It happened.
Okay.
Amanda does. Sorry,
Yikes.
Bucks.
Oh, okay. I do remember that.
Not that we dated, but whatever. Okay, so Newell is a good friend, unlike you. And
Or an idiot. Newell might be an idiot.
Yeah. 6 years later, in 1992, when his friend John had still not returned to claim his items, Sessions decided to open the dang trunk and see what was inside.
Good, because that's fucking rude.
Mm-hmm.
He used a blowtorch to remove the lock, the padlock, but he was not prepared for what was inside. And,
Bones.
and almost
I'm prepared.
an almost entire but not intact human skeleton.
Like totally skeletonized or like junk hanging on?
Totally skeletonized.
It'd been in like a hot shed for
Yeah.
6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
For-
it wasn't any kind of soup?
For way longer than 6 years, and we will get to it.
Ooh.
So at his wife Daisy's urging, because Newell was initially prepared to simply bury that shit and keep his mouth shut.
Newell's a really fucking good friend.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Way
Get
better
you
than
a
me.
Newell. We need to do a vow renewal on this friendship.
So his wife Daisy was like, no, call
We're going
the
to the
cops.
police. Yeah.
Narc.
So he contacted the local sheriff's department, which began working to identify the remains and figure out how they had ended up in John Morris's steamer trunk. So they managed to track down John Morris, who was now living in Texas, but he claimed to be shocked that his trunk, that he'd casually dumped on a friend before hightailing it out of town, contained human remains.
Well, there were no bones in there when I left with it padlocked.
Weird.
Right?
Sounds like a you problem. Sounds like a Newell problem.
Sounds
That's
like
Newell's
a
to me.
you
That is Newell's to me. He told investigators that he had purchased the trunk years ago from a yard sale in either Wyoming, Illinois, Iowa, Ohio, or Oklahoma.
In one of the 50 states.
He couldn't remember which.
To be
Good
fair,
God.
a lot of people don't know the difference between those states.
Right. But he claimed that he'd never actually opened it, and the whole time that he'd owned it. He claimed he bought it closed.
Padlocked. Okay.
He also claimed to have been in possession of the trunk since around 1973.
Oh, and it's what, 80s?
It's 1992 now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So the sheriff's department was suspicious
Yeah.
of Morris's story.
Not buying it.
It seemed extremely unlikely that he would have been in possession of the trunk for over a decade or like 2 decades without ever having opened it. Also, there's a photo on the drive. So like this thing was not in great shape. So there's no reason to like be keeping it.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's not like a collectible.
No, like look at it. It's like almost entirely rusted out. It is.
It looks like there's a hole in the top.
It's
yeah,
a mess.
It's trash.
She's a mess.
I collect old fucking
Trash.
trunks like that are worthless but cute for
Okay.
decor purposes.
Uh-huh.
And this is not that.
No, it's not.
But the authorities had no hard evidence to prove that Morris knew more than he was letting on. Meanwhile, the state crime lab analyzed the bones and officially ruled the death a homicide after discovering a bullet lodged in the skull and evidence of another gunshot wound to the chest.
Ooh.
More specifically, they found a .25 caliber bullet fired from a gun that had first been manufactured in 1904, but had not been available in the U.S. until 1908.
Okay.
Not incredibly helpfully, but still, they concluded that the murder could have taken place any time between 1908 and 1980. He's saying he had it since 1973. So if we want to take him at his word, then any time between 1908 and 1973, which is still quite the time span for unidentified remains.
What happened in 1980?
I think maybe they estimated that that's how long it would take to reach like that level of
decomp or whatever.
Yeah.
Got it.
So
For
there
them to be like clean bones.
Yeah.
So they were put into this box, skeletonized clean bones.
that. I don't know.
Okay.
The trunk itself, actually, I do know, but at this
Are
point,
you glad I asked?
I'm glad you asked.
At this point in our tale, we don't know.
Oh.
So the trunk itself provided some help with further narrowing down the timeline. It was determined to be most likely from the 1930s and to have been issued to someone who served in the U.S. Armed Forces during the interwar period. So
Okay.
the trunk itself wasn't made before the 30s, and it was probably given to someone who served in the army later than that. Furthermore, a bag from the supermarket chain, Lucy's fave, Hy-Vee.
Oh.
I love Hy-Vee.
I know.
Management is kind of problematic, but I still like it.
Was found in the trunk along with the remains, which was determined to have been produced in the 1950s. So the newest item inside the trunk is this Hy-Vee bag from the 50s. So they're guessing that they're trying to narrow it down even further. So now we've got between the 50s and 1973.
Okay.
And possibly the region, because they don't have Hy-Vees in just anywhere.
Well, aren't you just so astute?
Are you glad I asked?
So, an analysis of the skeleton led the crime lab to conclude that it belonged to a white male who had been in his 50s or 60s at the time of his death. He was estimated to have been about 5'10". Also, some portions of the skeleton were missing, so some lower leg bones and a hand, which Lucy now owns,
Like this?
Good God.
which led investigators to think that the skeleton may have initially been buried before being dug up at a later date and then hidden in the trunk.
Okay.
Oh.
The crime lab also used the skull to create a digital rendering of the victim's face, which is haunting. And there's a photo on the drive.
You have to go into the drive to get to the
my
notes.
God.
And I took it's like sitting in a leather armchair. It's so deeply upsetting.
It's wearing a scarf. It looks like Play-Doh.
It's
not
like
not
Play-Doh.
It's not good. It was an early 90s or mid 90s facial rendering from a skull.
My
It's
God. For
bad.
anyone listening, highly recommend going to the blog and looking at this fucking picture.
It's
highly
very
it is
creepy.
haunting.
But this information still left authorities with barely anything to go on when it came to actually trying to find the identity of the victim. Plus, if John Morris was to be believed, they didn't even know which state to begin their search in. And so the case remained cold for years. Further complicating matters, John Morris, he'd moved to Texas from Wyoming and then moved to Mississippi. And then after he was contacted by police about this trunk, he died by suicide.
Oh.
Eliminating what investigators believed to be their only potential source for more information about the victim. So at this point, they're like
Who do
pretty
we talk
seriously
to?
zeroed in on John Morris.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Then, in the early 1990s, the case of the unidentified bones was featured on Unsolved Mysteries, which resulted in the sheriff's department receiving more than 600 phone calls to their tip line.
Whoa.
Unfortunately, none of these tips proved fruitful in terms of leads on this case. But then, in October of 2017, 25 years after Newell Sessions discovered the bones, the sheriff's department received a surprising phone call.
Oh, jeez.
A woman from Waukee, Iowa. Did I say that right?
Waukee. That is literally 10 miles from me. It's a suburb of Des Moines.
named Shelley Statler had learned about the unidentified remains and believed that they may have belonged to her grandfather. Statler had been aware of the story of the bones in the trunk for years, since she was like 19. She remembered seeing a story in the Des Moines Register when she was about 19 about the bones that had been found in Wyoming, which theorized that the Hy-Vee bag possibly meant that the remains were from Iowa.
Oh
my
yeah,
Oh my God.
Hy-Vee to the rescue.
I knew
Mama
Lucy,
knows her grocery.
I knew Lucy would be this pleased with herself, but it's still a beautiful thing to
I
watch.
had nothing to do with this game. I am pleased with myself.
I think you solved it.
Yeah, thank you, Lucy. At the time, Statler's father had made an offhand comment to her about how the remains might belong to her grandfather. She later explained, quote, "I was young and didn't pay much attention to it. As I got older, I became more interested in family history and kept coming back to the story." So basically, Shelley's maternal grandfather had disappeared when her mother was a child, and no one had ever found out what happened to him.
Oh my God.
And they didn't think that he had like run off because like he didn't like take any of his shit with him, basically.
So he vanished,
yeah.
like suspiciously.
Yeah, he just like vanished. Statler used the crime lab's digital recreation of the victim's face, which
the horrible recreation.
to make
Got
a
it.
collage with family photos from her mother's side and believed that she saw a strong resemblance, which sounds far-fetched, but go on the drive and look at a picture of Shelley and then look at a picture of the creepy rendering.
The nose is, I see it.
The nose and the mouth and it kind of really fits.
The mouth, the thin lips.
The mouth,
The
the
shape.
cheeks, the whatever this line is.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can see that.
I was surprised that anyone could see any kind of resemblance to this rendering, but like then when you see it lined up next to a person, you kind of see it.
And it's also
Okay.
like a granddaughter and her grandfather. Like, it's
Right.
not going to be like
Identical.
siblings or anything, but
Right.
I can see some features. Yeah.
Right. So when she called the sheriff's department, she requested that she be able to submit a sample of her mother's DNA to compare against the skeleton to see if it proved her theory correct.
Okay.
Indeed, DNA testing showed the sample to be extremely, like remarkably similar to
Oh
the
my
unidentified bones, which were now conclusively identified as belonging to Joseph Mulvaney, a World War II veteran and railroad worker who had gone missing from Des Moines in 1963.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
This is wild.
Right?
That's box.
Details of Joseph Mulvaney's life are sparse, but it is known that he grew up in Illinois and that after serving in World War II, he moved to California for work for a railroad company. This is where he met and married a woman named Mary Alice McLeese, who had a son from a previous relationship named John Morris.
Oh. So he murdered his stepfather. Oh. Shelley, you cracked the case.
Shelley, yes, Shelley.
Queen Shelley.
So Joseph and Mary Alice had 3 children together, and in the early 60s, they moved to Des Moines, where Mary Alice was originally from. But in 1963, Joseph Mulvaney disappeared, although no official missing persons report was ever filed.
Hold my trunk.
According to Shelley Statler, she believed that her grandfather had been shot and killed and buried in the backyard of the house he had recently bought with his wife, and that the body had remained there until his stepson, John Morris, eventually came back to dig it up and hide it in his steamer trunk and take it with him to fucking Wyoming.
So
Look at Amanda's face.
Who did he think killed him?
Oh, we'll get to it.
Oh my God. As she slams the rest of her wine.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get to it.
Knock it back. Morris would have been 16 years old at the time of Mulvaney's death, so he could have done it.
Yeah.
But investigators in the case have said that they do not believe that John Morris was the one who pulled the trigger.
Was it Grandma?
Oh, whoa.
Oh!
You know I love a twist.
Shook.
I am dead. I died. I'm dead.
Although the details
You're
surrounding
dead.
First, you're dead.
Although the details surrounding the murder have never been confirmed, Shelley believes that it is more likely that it was her grandmother who shot her husband in the head and that John was probably involved as an accomplice or witness to his mother's crime. So either like an accomplice during or an accomplice after the fact.
Well, he clearly knew what happened and where the body was and had some sort of investment in it.
Right. At a minimum, accomplice after the fact.
Yes.
But considering he was 16, he could have been involved in the whole thing. Or he could have done it. We don't know for sure. Of course, there's only speculation about what might have provoked the murder. According to Shelley Statler, quote, I don't think my grandparents had a very good marriage, and I know...
Obviously not.
Oh, no.
Good Lord.
And I know it affected my mom and her siblings growing up. My grandmother wasn't always easy to get along with.
There we go. There it is.
This so easily could have been my family. My God.
Yeah, this actually sounds a lot like your mother's.
Oh, no.
I mean, my mom's dad did die very young, and we were all told he died in a military situation. Maybe Grandma killed him.
Maybe.
She didn't. She would be so
Maybe
mad.
your
She
mom
knew I
helped
said that.
Maybe
She was 6.
Someday you'll find your mom's old steamer trunk.
Why do you think I hired Not Forgotten Genealogy at notforgottengenealogy.com? Follow on Instagram at Not Forgotten Genealogy to find everyone in my family. Everyone in my family.
I'm not naming any names, but of this generation, I can think of a couple of relationships that I could see going down this way.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Terrible.
Yeah, I've got empty steamer trunks. If anybody
I have
needs.
one under my desk right now. Right now.
But also Mary Alice, the grandmother, she also like lost all contact with the rest of her family for like the last like 10 years before she passed in 2009. So she had very fraught relationships with her children and family.
Okay.
And who knows? I don't know. There could have been abuse. Like she could have been a really tough lady.
Yeah,
to
maybe
be
this was
around.
self-defense.
Yeah.
We
course.
don't know. That is pure speculation. I don't know. She could have also just been a fucking murderer. I don't know.
My God.
Could have been both.
Could have been
This
both.
case. You bitch.
But
This case.
as both John Morris and Mary Alice had passed away by the time the bones were identified, the story cannot be confirmed either way. So 2 years after her initial phone call, Shelley Statler finally succeeded in officially claiming her grandfather's remains from the state of Wyoming. She stated in a 2019 interview that she planned to have the bones cremated before holding a funeral for her grandfather with full military rights, including a 21-gun salute.
Yeah, put Grandpa to rest.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that is the case of the bones in the trunk.
God.
I'll never look at a Hy-Vee the same way again.
I'll
There
never
you
look
go.
at a trunk the same way again.
Right.
I'll never look at Waukee the same way again.
Oh,
You should
we'll
reach
never
out to
drive
Shelley.
by Waukee again. We should. Meet and greet at that
Go
wine bar in
interview
Des Moines.
Shelley for Spooky Little Bitch.
Oh my
See if
God.
we have any mutual friends.
It's Shelley with an EY.
I know. I'm on it.
Oh my founder. Somebody come get her.
All right, let's hear a quick word from our sponsors.
We have a mutual friend.
Fine.
We have a
There's
mutual
more.
friend.
I want there to be more. You do? You know, a lot of folks like me thought that eco-friendly products were more expensive, less effective, like especially when it comes to cleaning. I'd always been hesitant about whether or not it would actually get my clothes or my dishes clean. And sure, the product that you pick up might say all natural, but you're not really sure if it like gets the job done, you know? But Blue Land has fixed that with its revolutionary refill tablets, and I am full-blown obsessed. Please tell us more.
I am on the Blue Land train. So Blue Land was founded on the belief that a cleaner planet starts at home. It's a simple idea. You buy the bottle once, you refill it forever. There's no more plastic waste.
None.
When you're at the store and you're just throwing stuff in your cart, if you start thinking about how much plastic you are using, it's
painful.
It's really painful. So yeah, Blue Land has definitely solved that. So you just fill Blue Land's beautiful Instagrammable bottles with warm water. You pop in one of the hand soap or spray cleaner tablets, and within minutes, you have powerful and effective cleaning products in the most incredible sense, like rose bergamot and lily mint. I really
rose
think
bergamot.
yeah. One of the
So
things
good.
that I never appreciated previously about like eco-friendly cleaning products is that they always kind of smell like, you know, vinegar, or they just don't smell that fresh. And Blue Land is absolutely changing the game in that
They've
department.
nailed it.
They also have convenient laundry and dishwasher tabs that come in chic and compact refillable metal containers instead of big, bulky, disposable plastic tubs. These
The
are
amount
so
of-
cute.
The amount of space like under my kitchen sink and in my laundry area that this has saved is unreal. I could get another rabbit. That's how much room I have.
Oh my Lord.
I'm not going to. I don't want my relationship to end, but I'm just saying it saves you that much space.
And they're so cute. The bottles, the little metal bins, you just leave them out because they're really stinking cute. Blue Land's stunning high quality forever bottles start at just $10 when you buy a kit and are meant to be reused forever with money-saving refillable tablets that start at just $2.
Yup.
So cut the plastic waste without sacrificing clean. Get Blue Land. You'll love it and the planet will thank you.
Absolutely. And right now you can get 15% off your first order when you go to blueland.com/gals15. That's 15% off your first order of any products Blue Land orders at blueland.com/gals15. One more time, blueland.com/gals15. Treat your cleaning and the planet.
Treat them both. If you are carrying a credit balance month after month, it can feel like you are in a never-ending cycle of debt. You're like Sisyphus. It's awful. But Upstart can help you make that final payment so you can finally get ahead.
It's such a relief. Upstart is the fast and easy way to pay off your debt with a personal loan all online. So whether it's paying off credit cards, like Lucy said, consolidating high interest debt that you might be carrying, or just funding personal expenses. You know, we spend money, it happens. Over 500,000 people have used Upstart to get one fixed monthly payment. Upstart knows you're more than just your credit score and is expanding access to affordable credit, which is huge. So unlike other lenders, Upstart considers your income, your current employment to find you a smarter rate for your loan. With a 5-minute online rate check, you can see your rate upfront for loans between $1,000 to $50,000. And you can receive funds as fast as one business day after accepting your loan, which is life-changing.
Incredible. So find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/gals, G-A-L-S. That's upstart.com/gals. Don't forget to use our URL to let them know that we sent ya. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Go to upstart.com/gals and treat yo credit.
Okay, should we bring it home?
Let's do it.
It's so close to home.
I know.
Literally, for me.
Get ready. This case is disturbing as hell, so here we go.
Oh, Jesus.
For my case, we're traveling back in time to 2017, and we're traveling overseas to Japan.
Oh, home of the Olympic Games right now, I've heard.
The current Olympic Games.
Maybe. Not that anyone else is there.
I don't know. I've not watched a single competition.
It
I
could
watched
be-
the synchronized diving last night, and it
Ooh,
was
that's cool.
fascinating.
I do like that.
I might watch some clips.
Yeah.
I'll watch clips. I'm
Yeah.
just not a big, I don't really follow any kind of sport or athleticism. God
I
bless.
do follow Simone Biles, and
Of
good on you,
course.
girl.
Absolutely.
You do you.
Cheers. But this is not that. So,
Okay.
Takahiro Shirashi was 27 years old and working in the sex work industry as a scout for Shinjuku's Kabukicho district, which is a red light district in Tokyo that houses host and hostess clubs, love hotels, shops, restaurants, and nightclubs. So folks who knew this guy as a kid were surprised that he went into this work, remembering him as a quiet but sociable child who was, for lack of a better word, boringly normal.
Just to confirm, what is he doing as a scout? Is he scouting out clients? Is he
Yeah,
scouting out
we'll get to it.
workers? Okay.
We'll get to it. He was described by a former schoolmate as someone who, quote, didn't especially stand out, but was not a gloomy character either.
He was pretty middle of the road.
And that he was so, quote, normal, inconspicuous, and low profile that most classmates didn't even notice him.
Ouch.
Well, he's also, maybe a horrible monster, so
Okay.
I don't feel that bad for him. Before working in the red light district, he worked at a supermarket for several years,
Probably.
not a Hy-Vee.
I was going to say probably Hy-Vee Tokyo.
Damn
yeah.
it.
It
I
was
wanted
only
a two for.
It was
two
a
for
very
branch.
it was a very weird expansion choice on the brand's part, but
2017 was a weird year.
That's a smile in every aisle. That's their slogan.
I hate that slogan.
I like it.
So, Takahiro recruited young women to work in the district and developed a reputation for being unsettling, even earning the nickname, quote, creepy scout among the locals. He was even arrested for pressuring a young woman into sex work, even though she was not consenting to it. So fucking trafficking.
yeah.
He was given a suspended jail sentence for this and went about his business, but his reputation had gotten bad enough that he could no longer work as a recruiter, with other recruiters even posting his photo around with the warning to avoid him.
Oh, no.
So you
So-
know it's bad.
So he
Yeah.
was scouting for sex
For-
workers.
Yeah, for young women to work in the sex industry, whether that be engaging in like prostitution, quote unquote, or working in as like, you know,
Hostesses,
cocktail
yeah.
hostesses in some of the like the clubs and the brothels, maybe, you know, just like doing shows, like all kinds of different
Any
types of sex work
level,
in that
but also
district.
sometimes they could try to
would-
like,
Pressure.
pressure to
Well, 'cause he
level
was-
up.
I don't know how they get paid. I have no idea how recruiters get paid, and I'm not going to like presume to know.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes you wonder if he's pressuring these young prospects into prostitution, which is the word that they're using, which would be higher paid work. You wonder if there's some sort of commission for that kind of recruitment.
I mean,
Or
It
like if he gets a
it
higher
sounds-
percentage for
Right.
specific
It sounds
kinds of
That's
work.
what I
to
mean.
me like a trafficking scenario. There's a lot of like pretending to be like a boyfriend in order to kind of recruit women into sex work.
Warm them up to
Yes.
the idea.
Yes, and that's true, but I really, from what I was reading about this, like in this red light district of Tokyo, like this isn't like an uncommon job. And
Right.
It's like a job. It's not like
That's
like
true.
when he approaches people, he's telling you what he does.
Right. And
He's not like coercing them. It was like pressure to do this higher paid position.
okay.
But still like to work in the red light district. Like it's a job. It's not like
So
you're
there's
saying
so
he-
many nuances within
For sure.
sex work that it's hard to know without more information.
So you're saying he
Absolutely.
wasn't like tricking them,
No,
like kind of
it's not-
gaslighting them into it, like
No,
a
it's- I mean,
boyfriend situation might
No,
be.
not in such a way, as far as I could tell, that like they didn't know he was a recruiter.
Okay.
Like it's well known what his job was, and there were other people with that position living in and around this district.
Got it.
So, but whether or not coercive techniques, it sounds like they were used, and at least by him.
And whether or not the individuals he targeted knew. Like, you can be a known recruiter in a neighborhood, but if you find some marks that are naive and don't know.
Again, I don't know what methods he used.
Right.
This is purely speculation from the research that I did. This is like a job that is pretty straightforward. There's no hiding what they're about.
Got it.
So that's the information that I'm working off of. So he couldn't work in this area anymore because everybody was like, stay the fuck away from this guy. So in August 2017, he's out of work. He leaves Tokyo and he gets a tiny, tiny apartment, literally 13 and a half square meters.
My apartment in Paris was smaller.
Well, congrats, I guess.
12 square meters.
Was really
Real
small.
In Zama, which is a city about 48 kilometers southwest of Tokyo and 8,166 miles east of Peniston. I looked it up. Taka, I'm so glad you asked.
How far from Peniston?
I got you. So Takahiro was unemployed, he's bored, and he's seeking an outlet for his sexual desires.
And he's a fucking creep.
So he did what any millennial would do and took to Twitter to meet women.
Oh.
This is from SBS.com. Quote, he is reported to have set up several Twitter accounts advertising himself as a, quote, professional hangman and contacting young women who said they had suicidal tendencies. He's the worst.
Whoa, what? Whoa.
This takes a wild turn. Oh, yeah, let me tell you what. He would message these vulnerable women and pose as a, quote, suicidal guru who would help them end their lives.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
I don't like that.
No, of course you don't. It's terrible. On one of his other accounts, he postured himself as a vulnerable and depressed individual seeking companionship with other depressed women who would enter into a suicide pact with him. Again, I'm using quotes. These were all like his terms.
Yeah, because he's not going to actually do this. He's just preying on vulnerable women.
Exactly.
It's gross.
Once he found a willing participant, he would make arrangements to meet them at train stations near their homes and then travel together back to his apartment so that they couldn't like back out at the last minute. Once back at his apartment, he would fix a cocktail of alcohol, tranquilizers, and sleeping pills and sexually assault and then kill his victims. Some of the women had given or loaned him money before he killed them, and then he just obviously didn't return it because he killed them. But if they hadn't given him money up front, he robbed all of the other women that he killed. So he was taking their money as well.
Do you think that some part of like his psychology, mentally, he was like, well, they wanted to kill themselves anyway. I can do whatever I want with them.
Sort of, and also no. They were easier targets because they were vulnerable. It
they
had
were
nothing to do with
from
the morality
anxiety and depression and
the quote-unquote morality of killing someone who already wanted to die had nothing to do with it. It was just easy pickings.
I'm not saying that there is morality in there, but just like
I know you're not saying
his alleviation of culpability.
I know you're not saying that. I'm saying no, that's not why he did that.
Ooh,
it was just it's like shooting fish in a barrel. That's the only reason he fucking did it.
Got it. Okay.
Quote, I disposed of their flesh and internal organs like garbage, but kept their bones out of fear that I would be caught. He also told investigators that he killed his victims as soon as he met them and then, quote, did some work on their bodies to cover his tracks.
Yeah, like cutting them up to separate the bones from the flesh.
Yep.
Did he keep the teeth?
I don't think so. I don't know. Well, I mean, actually, yeah, probably. We'll get to it. Okay. According to the Japan Times, he told police that the first time he dismembered a body, it took him 3 days, but that, quote, from the second person, I was able to do it within a day.
Oh, I got good at it.
I don't quite understand the reasoning behind keeping the bones to avoid getting caught, but maybe he was concerned that, like, anywhere he tried to dispose of the bones, they would turn up because they don't degrade, like, tissue.
Yeah.
And then that could lead back to him. That's my theory. He does. I couldn't like read his court report because it was a Japanese character.
If you dispose of organs or like if you like
it'll degrade,
chop them up and then dispose of them with other trash, they might not be recognized.
Yeah.
Well, your liver looks just like any other animal liver.
If you grind it and cut it all up, it all looks like fucking meat.
Right.
no one would be like, that's a human lung.
Right.
Yeah.
If you were smart about it. Right.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
So he certainly went a little while without being caught and would have gone longer if it weren't for some brave family members of victims. So over the course of 2 months,
Oh,
Takahiro
my God.
lured, assaulted, and murdered 9 people between the ages of 15 and 26. So he was
Jesus.
averaging more than 1 murder a week.
Ew.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
God.
8 of the 9 victims were female, the young women that he targeted, and 1 was a man who was a friend of one of the women that he killed and was like onto him. So Takahiro murdered him to protect himself.
Ew.
When the 9th and final victim went missing, her brother immediately went into investigation mode. He broke into his sister's social media accounts and found the disturbing messages between the two of them on Twitter, as well as a tweet that she had posted the week prior stating, quote, "I'm looking for someone to die with me." So she tweeted this. He finds it because he's probably got like keywords on search
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
They start corresponding via DM, and she agrees to meet up with him and gets killed.
Fuck.
So the brother brings in a female friend and the police. So they were like being as safe as they possibly could about it and set up a fake encounter between the female friend and Takahiro. On Halloween in 2017, instead of the young woman he expected to arrive at his apartment, the police arrived and asked where the missing woman was, the victim's sister. Or yeah, the brother's sister victim. No victim names were released in any of the articles I read, so it's a little confusing, but
No, we're following. We're good.
yeah, they bait and switch, they catfish the fuck
Yeah.
out of him.
Yeah.
And the cops show up. So because the brother like provided all of this context from the Twitter accounts that he broke into, they had enough probable cause to search his apartment when they got there. So they asked him where this woman was. I'm sure he's like, and they're like, well, fuck you. We've got a warrant. We're coming in.
Right.
They enter his home, and what they found inside was described as a, quote, house of horrors. Parts of all 9 victims were found in the house, including all 9 heads,
Ew.
like skulls,
Ooh.
and 240 bones with the flesh scraped off, stashed away in coolers and toolboxes around his bedroom.
What do you do
and-
with the other bones?
I'm not sure. Probably disposed of some of the bones with maybe some of the soft tissue that he got rid of.
Maybe the smaller bones.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
like, the
He had a
big,
lot
the
of
big bone.
bones.
If there's 206 bones in a human body, he got rid of a lot of bones.
I mean, he had to have too, because like on the drive, there is a layout of his apartment. So it's not any actual photos, but it shows you a digital rendering of like all these boxes and coolers that were containing all
That's
the
a
remains.
very small apartment. It is
He
a
couldn't
micro
have- yeah.
kitchen and a loft bedroom.
Oh my God.
Like he couldn't keep all the
Ew.
fucking bones
Like,
because where is he going to put them?
Every square inch outside of the loft and
oh yeah.
every square inch besides the loft in the bathroom is just
It's
like
boxes
storing
of human
bones.
remains.
He should have taken advantage of vertical space a little bit more.
I know, but the only one a week, you don't have a lot of time to play.
Yeah, that's true.
It was a mess. So yeah, he was stashing them away in coolers and toolboxes in and around his apartment.
Fuck.
He was arrested and went willingly, immediately confessing to all 9 murders. Investigation of the parts that were found in his apartment indicated strangulation in all 9 victims before they were decapitated. So whatever that like bone
Hyoid.
thing was,
Hyoid.
was probably still present, and they could use that to determine that all of them were strangled.
Jesus.
Though Takahiro pled guilty, he still stood trial for his crimes to determine sentencing and for the families to like get some closure. So at trial, his defense team tried to lessen his punishment by arguing that all of his victims consented to being killed and that the signs of struggle both on the remains and in the apartment were due to, quote, conditional reflexes of the victims.
Like survival instincts.
Yep,
my
exactly.
God.
But Takahiro himself squashed this in court, saying, quote, I killed them for financial reasons and to satisfy my sexual desires. There was no consent.
Wow, okay.
Whoa.
Yep.
His defense team is like, what the fuck, dude?
This guy is a defense attorney's worst fucking nightmare.
Why
Yeah.
did they put him on the stand, or was it like an outburst?
He was able to make statements, I think.
Fuck.
Because it was more, I don't know exactly how the judicial system
Right.
works in Japan.
You don't.
I know, right?
You're not an
But-
expert.
on Japanese law.
Japanese Justice, starring
J-Law.
Amanda Jacobson.
J-Law.
I'm going to start that podcast.
J-Law.
But yeah, it sounds like victims' families were able to make statements and he was able to testify at this like sentencing trial. He went on to say, after listening to the families of many of the victims testify at his trial, quote, I am sorry for having killed some of the victims with whom I spent a lot of time and would like to apologize to these families. But for the others, I don't really feel a deep sense of regret. In any case, I am sorry only because I failed when I got caught. If I wasn't arrested, I would not be regretting anything. He said that in court, full of victims' families after they had like taken the stand to talk about their loved ones like throughout the fucking trial.
Okay,
Well,
bye.
fuck this
Bye.
Yup. This next quote is from the Straits Times, which what?
Oh, yeah, that's actually a rather large
It is.
paper.
I just don't think it's well named. There, I said it.
No.
Like, never trust the Straits. The defense lawyers also argued that Shirashi could have been mentally unstable or in a state of diminished capacity at the time, though prosecutors disagreed with this assessment, and Shirashi had been found to be mentally sound after 5 months of psychiatric tests. Accusing his own defense team of an act of betrayal, quote, he repeatedly refused to answer questions from his lawyers and instead said that the content of the indictment is true. So everything that the prosecution
Right. So
was
he
saying-
wanted to be put away. He
or
at
he
least,
literally
at least he wanted to accept attribution and like whatever.
Yeah, he
He
wanted
didn't
credit.
want to
Says-
get off.
Yeah.
But what he says is, quote, I've said repeatedly that I will accept the indictment and want to end the trial as soon as possible because it is causing inconvenience to my relatives, but this wish is being ignored.
Whoa.
He just wanted to get it over with. He's
Yeah,
like,
he's-
I know I'm fucking guilty. Just do
So
what
are
you're
they
gonna
not
do.
allowed to plead guilty?
He did plead guilty, but this was the sentencing. And he has
and
no
the victim
choice.
impact statements. And,
Impact statements and like make the prosecution and defense still get to build a case to determine
the
the
sentencing.
severity of the sentence.
Oh.
So this was such a sensational thing in the news that like it did drag on for a while. Like it was
Yeah.
several weeks.
Okay.
And this guy was like, fuck this, I did it. Just like, can we fucking be done?
He was getting annoyed with the
Yes,
pomp
with the
and
process.
circumstance.
yeah, the negative press.
All of
much.
it.
So Takahiro was obviously found guilty and sentenced to death, which in Japan is commonly carried out by hanging. One article I found says he is seeking, quote, a normal girl to marry before he is executed. So
Now,
if you're curious, if you're interested, anyone, he is available.
No.
The date of his execution has not yet been set, so I don't know how much time he'll have with his potential wife, but we'll see. This last bit is from the Daily Beast. It says, quote, the high-profile serial murder case has opened a debate in Japan about whether social media and websites that encourage suicide should be regulated. Twitter amended its rules to Japanese users after Shirashi's arrest, adding that users should not, quote, promote or encourage suicide or self-harm.
I mean,
So hopefully
yeah.
some regulation at least helps to protect already vulnerable people who are in vulnerable places, seeking some camaraderie with and maybe comfort with each other. It's sad because you don't want to take that opportunity away from people, but if it can be
I think there's a huge difference between seeking support because you have suicidal ideation that you don't want to have and you want that to stop. And so you want support and help to get out of that
and
space.
soliciting something.
Right. And also,
I think all of it's a cry for help in its own way.
And I also think there's a vast gulf between like what these Twitter users were seeking and like medically assisted,
Absolutely.
suicide, end of life.
Yeah. These
care
are not
for
the
people
same
with
thing.
like fatal illnesses and whatever that people.
It just makes me so sad because like going public to share some of your maybe deepest, darkest moments then being manipulated and weaponized by this fucking monster. Because, like, suicidal ideation from, obviously, I am not an expert, but from the minimal study that I have done, it is a symptom of your condition. It's not necessarily what you, with treatable depression that's properly managed, actually want. It's much more temporary, but the result, if you follow through with it, is permanent. And that's what's so fucking tragic about it. And so instead of having an opportunity when you see a cry for help like that on Twitter, like social media, to go, oh my gosh, let's do a wellness check on this person. You know, like a friend or family member might see that and go, okay, I really need to check on my loved one. This fucking creep is like setting Google alerts for shit like that so that he can lure vulnerable people to like get off on murdering them. It's just like there's always going to be someone out there who is such a pile of human excrement that it's like beyond comprehension. And this is just one of those people.
Yeah,
and I was reading
it's
this and I was
difficult
like,
to anticipate what a horrific person this guy was.
Yeah, and then he gets to court and he's like, yeah, I fucking did it. Can we wrap this shit up? Also, I don't really care about most of my victims. Sorry to all the families, I guess.
It's so fucking
It's just
gross.
like, I can't.
Well, nobody married this guy.
Bones. I feel like Amanda has officially taken on my mantle of being the dark one.
I
think
have
so, too.
recently, over like the last year.
Yeah, you've been on like a real kick, and I've been on a real like avoidance scheme of darkness.
I like it. We deal with our COVID woes in very different ways.
Yeah, it's so true. Anyway, it's interesting. At some point,
And
we'll flip
I'm
back.
staying on brand for myself.
As she
Lucy
shakes a
has
human
never
claw.
changed, literally since the day I met her.
Not a bit.
I'm authentic.
Well, special thanks to us because this was a Gals Pick episode, but also to all of
Lori.
you. And to Lori, the skeleton.
Poor Lori.
Poor Lori. I'm
Poet
assuming she
laureate.
lived a good life with consent for me to keep her bones
I mean,
in my office.
If you donated your body to science and like eventually your body was kind of
Ended up with a spooky little bitch like you, you'd be pumped.
you'd be okay with it.
I would like it.
You'd be pumped.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
We'll see you soon.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Wine and Crime. Our cover art is by Kala Yip. Music by Phil Young and Corey Wendell. Editing by Jonathan Camp. Check out our website and blog at wineandcrimepodcast.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Wine and Crime Pod. If you have questions, answers, or recommendations to share, email us at wineandcrimepodcast@gmail.com. Episodes are available on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, basically wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And if you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. It is the best way to spread the word. If you'd like to show your support and get a shout out on air, visit our Patreon page to keep this podcast and the wine flowing. Cheers.